Many people claim that our governments are conspiring to cover up the truth about UFO encounters. One of the most incredible sightings, it's claimed they suppressed, occurred right here in the UK, when Sergeant Jim Penniston of the US Air Force was sent to investigate strange lights in Rendlesham Forest.
I wasn't sure what I was seeing. I had my mind set that it was an aircraft crash, and there was no crash. I could start seeing a structured craft, and it was a triangular craft that was sitting in the forest floor, and it looked like black glass. When I pushed it, it was solid. It was warm. There was some type of markings on it. There was glyphs on it that were something I'd never seen before. There was another flash of light coming out of it. And then it started to lift off the forest floor, move a little bit through these trees. It momentarily hovered there, did a slight turn, and was gone in a blink of an eye. And I looked, it had moved another 100 yards away. We pursued it, we could never quite catch up with it.
Giving up the chase, the soldiers returned to base. Fearing ridicule, Penniston didn't disclose his close encounter, reporting only that he saw unidentified lights. But rumors of his team's UFO sighting began to circulate around the base. And 2 nights later, the lights were seen again. This time, a larger force was sent to investigate, led by Deputy Base Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Holt. At the site of Penniston's encounter, Holt's team recorded strange indentations in the ground and detected abnormal radiation readings. Then, they too saw the lights. Colonel Holt recorded everything that happened.
Straight ahead, in between, there it is again. We see strange strobe-like flashes to the rather sporadic, but there's definitely something, some kind of phenomenon. We're seeing strange lights in the sky. There it is. Hey, I see it too. What is it? We don't know, sir. There's something very, very strange. It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal.
When the lights finally disappeared, Holt returned to base a believer. He sent an internal memo up the chain of command, documenting his encounter.
I have a lieutenant colonel, deputy base commander, who now acknowledges and validates the first night. It's no longer just me telling the story. He experienced something that he couldn't explain either.
After Colonel Holt reported his sighting, Penniston was ordered to give a detailed description of his own close encounter to government inspectors. But their response was unexpected. According to Penniston, they gave him a cover story and ordered him to suppress the truth.
I said, it's not accurate. And they said, this is an open investigation by the Office of Special Investigation. You are required to go ahead and use this as the cover story to anybody to ask about this.
At this point, Sergeant Penniston claims the interrogation took a sinister turn. Agents drugged him to make him forget the whole incident, explaining why he's been silent about his encounter for years.
I can understand their need for that. I can understand it. I don't agree with it, the methods. Sodium pentothal was used, and you know, it was really bad. I mean, bad.
Sergeant Penniston says that it was years before he regained the memories of his close encounter. Both he and Colonel Holt claim the Rendlesham incident is a huge US government cover-up of a UFO encounter.
Colonel Holt. He says that these things are extraterrestrial, that the government knows about it, and that there's some super secret organisation that's keeping tabs of all this stuff, and that the British and American governments are both involved in covering it up.
But why did UFOs choose to land in Rendlesham Forest? And why would the military cover it up? Conspiracists claim that it's all about nuclear weapons. They say that there is no coincidence that UFO sightings had shot up after we entered the nuclear era. From an alien perspective, mankind had come of age.
At the end of World War II, it was perfectly clear that soon these idiot Earthlings would be able to go out there and bother them with nuclear technology.
It's claimed that in the 1980s, strategic nuclear weapons were secretly housed at US bases in Britain, including the 2 military bases on the edge of Rendlesham Forest. But it's never been confirmed.
The twin bases of Bentwaters and Woodbridge were 2 of the most strategically important military establishments in the entire NATO military alliance. I can neither confirm nor deny the presence of nuclear weapons at Bentwaters or Woodbridge.
Believers claim that the UFO had come to spy on these munitions. In his account, Colonel Holt states that the UFO shone a beam onto the hangar where the nukes were allegedly stored.
When you've got nuclear weapons, I would think aliens would want to know what was going on here.
The conspiracy theorists point to the fact that the US military kept the Rendlesham Forest incident under wraps for over 2 years. The story of the UFO encounter only hit the headlines in 1983, when Colonel Holt's official memo became the subject of a Freedom of Information request, and the military was forced to release it. But skeptics claim that the Rendlesham incident was no close encounter. They say there is a simple explanation for the strange lights. A lighthouse, specifically Orford Ness Lighthouse, on the coast a few miles from the forest.
If you're standing in Rendlesham Forest at the right position, you can actually see the lighthouse sticking out. I've seen it. It's perfectly visible from where Colonel Holt was at the time he was making the recording.
The lighthouse flashes every 5 seconds, a fact skeptics say proves there was no UFO.
You play Colonel Holt's recording and you can hear him and you can actually time it against the flashes. There it goes again. Now, he didn't describe in his tape recording seeing a UFO and a lighthouse. He described seeing a UFO. He doesn't mention the lighthouse at any point in that recording. So him saying years later he couldn't possibly have got the 2 mixed up, I'm sorry, does not cut any ice with me.
Oh, if they want to say it's a lighthouse, they can. I don't care.
The skeptics also doubt both Penniston's account of his close encounter with the craft and the drug-fueled cover-up, because these key revelations were only reported by Penniston years after the event.
None of that was mentioned in 1981. The right way of looking at it is to say, those people making those claims, let's see your evidence. Where is your evidence? There isn't any, just stories. And those stories become bigger and bigger and bigger and more elaborate every year.
Skeptics believe there was another reason for the military covering up the alleged encounter. If nuclear weapons were secretly kept at the bases, the authorities would have been keen to hush up any incident that cast doubt on the security and integrity of the base defenses.
The idea that the government is covering up something it's embarrassed about is a lot less interesting than it's covering up something that it's frightened about. But the former, of course, is much more likely to be the case.
Whether or not the US military were attempting to hide important secrets remains unknown to this day. But we now know for a fact that for decades, on both sides of the Atlantic, the military had been secretly studying UFOs.